Welcome out here into the Pikes vineyard today. I'm Steve Baraglia, Chief Winemaker at Pikes, and this is Andrew Kenny, our Senior Winemaker. We're out here talking all things Riesling in the Clare Valley. This is our H block Riesling. It is one of our better blocks of Riesling. It runs east-west row orientation. You can see we've got fresh straw mulch down to conserve water and weed control. With this block, it generally always produces really typical Polish Hill River Riesling, limes and lemons, and really a tight acid backbone. So it's a really nice block that goes into some of our parcels of Riesling that we make at Pikes. So today we're talking about two Rieslings, the Traditional and the Hills and Valleys. We'll start with the Traditional first, and Andrew will describe the sub-regionals that this wine's from.
Yeah, so the Traditional is a blend of sub-regions from around the valley. We've got some Seven Hill, which provides some tropicals. We've got a fair portion comes from Polish Hill River, this estate that we're in, which is where you get your more lime and lemon aromas, some herbals and a little bit of aniseed. And then we have the classic Winebow, which is your really bright fruit and obvious fruit. We do use all these different vineyards to sort of provide I guess a complete wine, balanced, where not one thing is showing out over the rest.
What we're looking for when we're growing Riesling, the Clare Valley is relatively elevated compared to other parts of South Australia, and the vineyards we take fruit from these higher elevations have higher rainfalls, which keeps our vines really healthy through the growing season. We have a little bit of supplement irrigation to maintain that health, but what we're looking for is our best fruit comes from east-west row orientation, so the sun stays over top during the day. We do have some north-south blocks, which if we do get any heat events, the basal leaf, the leaf covering the fruit, can fall off, and then we can get some sun exposure, and then we get some cooked apple characters. This block we're standing in today has already been pruned, ready to set up the structure for the coming season. So all our Riesling blocks are vertical shoot position, so we lift the canopy up to give the fruit good shading in those warmer summer growing season, and we have typically really good natural acidity. And we produce flavour quite early on after veraison, so we're never lacking flavour. We've got plenty of sunlight and plenty of flavour in our wines.
So the Trad that we've got today, the 2019 Traditional Riesling, Trad in general terms, as I said, is a blend from multiple sub-regions of the Clare Valley. It's still 100% Clare Valley, but it's designed as a wine to drink now, and then that you can put down for anywhere from 10 years to 20 years, depending on how you like your wines. The Trad, when you first open it, when it's a fresh young vintage, it'll always be quite lemon lime focused. A little bit of stone fruits coming through from Winebow, but it's a really easily balanced, easy drinking wine. And then as it ages, it'll always move towards those more lemon butter, lemon curd flavors. The acid softens out. We keep a little bit of residual sugar in there, so it's about 4 grams, depending on how heavy the vintage is, which is one of the differences between this and the Hills and Valleys, which we'll talk about next. And then we like to keep our acids quite high, that natural acidity, to sort of balance out the sugar that's left there.
Now we're tasting the 2019 Hills and Valleys Riesling. So this Riesling was created more for the international market, so it carries a little bit of residual sweetness, much like most of the world Riesling. The Traditional and most of Australian Rieslings are actually considered dry, less than 7 grams of residual sugar, because we've got plenty of sunlight to be able to ripen our fruit fully, and we have very, very low disease pressure during the growing season, so we don't have botrytis as a big influencing factor like other parts of the world. The Hills and Valleys Riesling takes the fruit spectrum away from sort of that citrus and lemon lime, and it brings into more of a sort of stone fruit and lavender type character, with the sweetness that is balanced perfectly with the acidity. The hills and valleys we like to pair with spicy or Asian food, whereas the traditional Riesling we like to pair up with seafood or oysters, or fresh fish goes deliciously with it, or even just on a hot day. It's just a great drink. Cheers.
Cheers.